All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it sitting down. I don't normally sit down, for all you folks who don't quite know me. I understand. I understand the audio. I get it. I understand. Today is the 6th of January, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, a clothing company where we address the human body's natural function, coming at it mostly through clothing. But we have three sides to us. We also have In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then we also have this side of things, the music side, In the Image Clothing Company music, where we discuss instruments, setups to allow the body to just mesh with the instrument. And I also just make music. I write songs and play guitar, mostly a fingerstyle guitarist when it comes to how I approach guitar. So this is a video I actually already made, and I'm not remaking it because there was anything wrong with the first one. I am making this video again, and this will be pretty much the only video that you would have the potential to see out of the two, because now Frank is just set up very, very, very well. He was set up good before when I made the first one, but now he's like very, very, very well set up. So this is the official In the Image Clothing Company music full nylon string guitar setup video. Now, this is Frank the guitar. Little half-sized, beautiful Yamaha CGS 102A. Custom. Okay, so mine is a little bit different than if you were to get a Yamaha CGS 102A, because I have radiused the fretboard, put a rounding to it, and to the nut slots and to the saddle I have put a rounding. I'm going to, before I discuss the setup, just give a little bit of a visual so you can see just straight up Frank's fretboard from the bottom here, just how even everything is across. And yeah, and then we'll get into this. So when it comes to a setup of a guitar, I've mentioned a lot of things with guitars, sizes and styles and things that are important. With this video, I'm just going to get really, really straight to the point with the setup. There's a few things that are just so absolutely essential. Our hands are round. Our hands are not flat. Our hands are round, and that's how they work. That travels up into the shoulder through the rest of the entire body, cleared onto the arches in your feet, allowing those hands to be rounded. So this custom radius that I'm talking about that I have within Frank, that doesn't come in this model of guitar, that is just absolutely essential. If you're playing a flat fretboard guitar with a flat saddle and a flat nut, you will just be in pain. It is absolutely unavoidable because your hand is round and it is not flat. The shoulder will follow. You will have shoulder pain. If you do it over time, you will have shoulder damage, and your hand and forearm fingers will all cramp. No doubt, no getting out of it, period. So that's the first thing. Has to be rounding if you don't want pain in your body. Okay, secondly, the stringing technique. Now, I've done a full video on how to string a nylon string guitar, so I guess I won't talk about that within this. But the biggest things with the setup are that we need that radius to be there. We need to focus on, when you look down the strings and you look at like the edge of the E string to the edge of the fretboard on the high E, and the edge of the E string to the edge of the fretboard on the low E, and you follow that up or down from either end of the guitar, we want the spacing to be the same from top to bottom. Sometimes you'll see that the strings are kind of going one way or the other, and that means usually what has happened is this nut has been glued on off-centered. So that just needs to be right in the center so that everything's even. Otherwise, your hands are feeling different things on different sides. Now, the other thing, and this is something that is not so common for nylon string classical guitars to have, but if there is a truss rod in the neck where you can tighten that truss rod to straighten the neck, ideally, the neck is entirely straight from top to bottom, because when the neck comes this way and bows in, it's called a back bow of the neck, you will be having your body in different positions than it would naturally work. So ideally just completely flat this way. Now, yeah, that's just about it when it comes to the angles of things. As far as what you would need to do within a setup. Now, we want everything to be even height as well though, right? From this E to the other E, low to high, the height is the same with that radius in the center. And there you go, nice and even with the top of the body of the guitar. Now, I said I wasn't gonna mention the stringing technique within here, but I'm gonna mention it. When we wrap these 3 bass strings, this is what I have found to be what we need for the handheld, for everybody. This is In The Image Clothing Company Music's official stringing technique that I have had a lot of experience to come up with doing this. Other people might do it just like this, but these 3 bass strings, they need to come from this side that they're on when we're wrapping the string around and then putting it underneath, and just do 1 loop and then tuck it so the tails are going to the same side that you're wrapping it. So you wrap it and the tail goes out, okay? 3 treble strings, you wrap it from the side that the treble is on, you wrap it and the tail goes out. Just 1 loop, again, 1 loop. Now, I put little knots in the end because that way those little slippery treble strings won't come through. And how to do all that specifically is within the how to string nylon string guitars video under In The Image Clothing Company. But then up at the top, everything goes out. So these 2 E's, they will be wrapped to where they're coming out as they're winding, if you can see that. And then the other 4 will be going in as they're winding, just because of the location of how it comes up. We want everything to be pulling slightly outward from the center of the fretboard to match what we did at the bottom with the stringing. And when you do have the strings come from where they are on the tuning barrel down, that last winding around the tuning barrel, you don't want that string to be touching the rest of it, if you can see that. You want a little bit of gap there so that the string itself isn't touching against the winding of the excess string up there. You don't want that. And I explained that within the stringing technique video as well. Now, there you go. That's actually it. As far as that's just all the things you need to have for your body. I don't care about people's opinions about what they want or have been doing for this amount of time. I don't care. You could be playing guitar longer than I have been alive. But I have this entire company about the natural workings of the human body, and this is how to allow that to work. Doing this, being specific about it, very, very, very particular, with one more thing. This is very clear before I even say what I'm going to. That G string, this one here, the first, well, okay, the G, I'm not going to try to say how to find where it is, but the string that is a G, this one here that you can see that my finger is on, see how there's a compensation in the saddle? This comes across, and then it dips down a little bit where that G is, and then it comes back up and goes across. So there's still that nice rounding radius to the saddle, but where that G is, it's dipped down a little bit because that string is thicker than the ones next to it, the D and the A. So that is absolutely huge. If you look down Frank's strings from the side, they're all an even height with that nice radius. Now at the top, same thing, that nut slot where the G goes through needs to be deeper than the 2 strings next to it, the D and the A, because the G is thicker. So it has to sit lower for the tops of them to be even. If you look across Frank at the top here, all the strings are at even height with that slight radius. So there we go. What I was saying before, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned everything in order to allow this to be the case. Setting up your guitars this way, not because me, Evan Strong, is saying something, but because this is how the human hands operate. Doing it this way, and ideally having a small enough guitar to where your hands can be still in their neutral wrist position, which Frank is a half-sized guitar. Doing these things, you will not have to massage out your hands. You won't. You will not. But we also have things within the human body that the body does have to be centered as well, or else if you're coming with your body out of an imbalance toward playing a guitar, then no matter how ideal the setup of the thing you're doing is, if your body is within an imbalance within the actual structural skeletal system of it and the way that the muscles insert to that, then you're just fighting something that's in a twist anyway. So things like tying your shoes evenly over toward the inside and our shoelacing technique, plus removing all the tags from your clothing, those are our two prerequisites within In The Image Clothing Company. And then we also just talk about how clothing affects the body and these chronic patternings that we get into physically. So anything anyone's trying to say about a guitar setup and what they've been doing for longer than I have been alive, I don't care, because this is the way for the body out of its centered position. Activated arches within the feet, activated core, body working as a whole, actually centered. That is what our company is. In the Image Clothing Company music, being a third of our company, is just as much in the Image Clothing Company as the rest of us. The other two sides, in addition. So I don't need to hear nobody saying nothing about opinions, because this is no opinion. This is the way the hands will just be allowed to never have to be rehabbed from doing this. Whatever else you're doing in your life, that's entirely unique to you, we'll say. Okay, but yes, this whole entire company is just to allow the human body to work. The body only works how it does. Everything just connects to everything else within itself, the only way that it actually does. And this is the way to approach guitars with this fleshly being that we've been given by our God, Jesus the Christ. So that's why we are called In The Image Clothing Company. So, all right, cool. Thank you. There is the full setup. That's just a rundown quickly, but covered everything that does have to happen for the human body's natural function. So shout out to Frank the guitar, very much customized in more ways than one. And yeah, as I said, I'm also just a fingerstyle guitarist, and I just, I write songs, I play music, and you can see that here at In The Image Clothing Company Music. So today is the 6th of January, 2025. This is how it is. This is how it always will be. Don't believe me, try it. That's what I always say with an In The Image Clothing Company stuff. I don't have opinions on it, so don't believe me about some opinion that I potentially might or might not have. Do this, and you will never go back, because it just does what I say that it does. Because it does that, not because I'm saying it. Okay, thank you.